So welcome, welcome. So we're going to go ahead and continue the comments. I'm just going to respond to the comments live, and then if you, again, who's ever here, if you have questions, feel free to throw any in the chat, and we'll go from there. Anything you might be curious about. Let's see, where were we? Infinite Traveling Spirit to Be discovered the channel, and she left a couple comments. Oh, wow, are you serious? He's asking us to restrict our imagination to one action over and over again. Wow, thank you so much for pointing this out. I actually wandered off to a dinner party many times. I really love your channel. I just came across it. Thank you so much. Keep up the good work. And she might be referring, this is Infinite Traveling Spirit to Be. She might be referring to, as she was falling asleep, was traveling, wandering, and you have to repeat your scene over and over is the best approach to do when you're trying to manifest something. That was on the short, Master Your Desires, the Power of Focused Action. And another one, Infinite Traveling Spirit, Master Your Mental Diet, Transform Your Thoughts. That one, she wrote, thanks for the sound advice. When you have as much trauma as I did, you can't bring it down to wraps. You'd rather than think differently. I think it's sock yourself than think differently, because he can't trauma. I think she might have been using speak to text because it's very jumbled. Trauma lives in the body, so I figured out a way to get rid of it so it doesn't stop me from imagining better than the best I know. I get it. Trauma is a doozy, and if you have it, if you've dealt with it, and you have the feeling in you, the reminder of all of this wonder of magic that we know as Neville or the Seth material is that we are in a now. We have to try and remind ourselves, and trauma is trauma, man. It just feels so now, but it could be also in the past of your experience that you're not actually seeing in front of you. The beauty, in my opinion, is that Neville helps you come back to now and reminds us all, what are we imagining right now? And if we're not experiencing what we would want to dream to be experiencing or as an experience, then we want to get a grip on the imagining of our new now versus looking at old traumas, even though they are I'm not gonna discount the fact that they exist, because I have a fair share in my life. I don't throw my laundry out on this channel, but I've had some, but I've learned that Seth material and I've learned Neville, and these are ways that have helped me personally get more focused instead of the past or some idealistic future. Helps me get more focused into the now where I'm sitting. My teacher was famous. I've seen her do it in person, and she's told me many stories, and I know this probably is not you, Infinite Traveling Spirit, but this was my teacher talking to a person who was complaining of an early sexual experience where she had abuse in her life, and this gal was looping over and over the experience. And my teacher, I know this is going to sound abrasive, but it's not abrasive. It's meant to teach this point she made. She asked the gal, she says, have you had sex since then? And the gal was like, yes, of course. I mean, like, duh. And my teacher reminded her, you had to learn one way or another. Your introduction into it might have been this abusive experience, but that was the way you created your reality. And it's like Abdullah talking to Neville. My teacher was that abrasive. And if you didn't come from the world of Seth, or didn't know any of that, or didn't come from the world of Neville, and didn't know any of the fact that everything is you pushed out, you wouldn't see that you are the creator. When someone tells you that for the first time, it's easy to be offended, very offended, because you're like, wait a minute, I'm a victim. And Neville and Seth, teachers, and anybody who's learned from them is going to go, no, you're not. You're a creator. He made you in his image and went to sleep, became you, so that you would wake up and remember you are him. That's the long version. After years of studying the material, you get to that place where you realize, okay, my experience early as a child, And believe me, I have my own list. It is not pretty. It is not pretty. But how do we deal with it? The way Neville teaches is the best. Use your imagination right now on what you want to experience. Forget everything about what is in the past, forget everything about a possible future, and just focus on what is it I want to be, have, do. What's my dream? What's my noble dream? This is why I like Neville so much. Beautiful Be Loved, good morning. Good morning back to you too. I appreciate you. Thanks for stopping by. So it's a wonderful comment, and I get it. I promise you I get it. I said, thanks for sharing this. You're right. That trauma can feel rooted in the body and make thought control harder because we're here together. We're trying to control our thoughts. We're trying to control our feelings. When we've had certain experiences, it doesn't get easy to get a grip on these concepts. It's in fact seems difficult, but we can. Neville's teaching, my response still, Neville's teaching of imagining lovingly can work alongside healing practices, which is fine. You're still going through, let's say, some therapy for your trauma in life, definitely it's a good thing to do because you can work out the blocks, unwind the blocks. I'm not saying don't stop any of that. I'm just saying, like in my response here, you can definitely work alongside healing practices, imagining lovingly for your own experience alongside healing practices, so you're not blocked from creating a new inner state. The inner state is going to be the freedom that you will experience. And I said also, I appreciate your perspective. Thank you and love. I really appreciate honesty like that because that's how we can work. We can unwind all this. Another comment from Infinite Traveling Spirit to Be: master your mental diet, transform your thoughts. From that short, she wrote, that kind of made me laugh at the whatsoever things are true. It's funny, that video, because I repeat that. Neville repeats that, and I'm just reading what he says. It's hilarious. Another comment from her: unlocking the invisible, a journey to greater awareness. Her comment was, unfoldment means the process of gradually revealing, developing, or coming into a fuller expression. It's often used, let me hit this little thing here. It's often used in two senses, she says: general practical or spiritual philosophical. General practical, the way events, situations, or processes naturally progress and become clearer over time. Example, the unfoldment of the plan took months of preparation. On the spiritual philosophical example, the gradual awakening or realization of one's inner potential, truth, or consciousness. Example, meditation aids in the unfoldment of the higher self. At its root, it carries the image of something folded or hidden being opened up, like a flower blooming or knowledge being revealed. And I put a heart on that. It's very, very wise response. I like it a lot. Next one, unlocking the invisible, same short. She wrote another comment. Dimensionally larger world. Now, you guys, who else do you know who uses such words as these? That's wild. It's crazy. Who says dimensionally larger world? It's funny because in a bunch of shorts that I had made in this spell over the last 3 or 4 or 5 days, he's used dimensionally larger world quite a many times in there. It is a heck of a phrase too, I believe too. I put a love response on that. The next comment, thank you so much, from the same commenter, Infinite Traveling Spirit to Be. Thank you so much for reading Neville Goddard. This is beautiful, and the way I take my mind off of the current awareness is using a microdose of psychedelic mushrooms followed by CBD plus THC gummy. I'm sure she's using voice to speak because it says THC gummy. It's probably THC gummy. To sleep later on. It's beautiful. I can meditate a novel. Goddard for 4 hours before I go to sleep. Wonderful. Hey, whatever gets you to the meditation. Meditation is your friend. Meditation time will equal bigger results. And I said thank you for most. I'm sorry. I said you are most welcome because she said thank you, and I said thanks for sharing. It's a very fun response from her. The video, The Unrighteous Steward, on 11/23/1965, which is a lecture that I read of Neville's. Big Lance comes in. He's excellent. Thank you, Gilbert. Amazing teaching. Peace from Hainan, China. He's a traveling Wilbury. He just said hi from Thailand only a few days before this. I said, hey, Big Lance, you're welcome and thank you. Neville knows how to throw the curveball. Congrats on the travel. And that unrighteous steward is a heck of a lecture. It's really good. He comes back with thank you, peace be with you. And I said, thank you too, my brother. Let's see, where are we on the video? Denying the evidence, a journey within. I might be a little confused sometimes. I'm looking over at the camera and I put up a new monitor below it. And it might be too distracting for me. I might have to change that because when I go to look at you, this distracts me. Matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and pull that out of service so I don't get distracted here. I don't like that. Okay, so let's, we don't need this here anyway. I'm streaming through OBS in case anybody is curious about how this works. I've just used OBS through the camera. Then it broadcasts over to YouTube. Denying the evidence, a journey within on that short. Chantel Lecour, 138, said thank you. And I says you're welcome with a love heart. Appreciate you stopping by. Chantel, the next one, same short. Jonas Chris 050, I've been telling everyone about this. Oops. And I think in there because I say in there, don't tell anybody, or Neville does. You don't need to tell anybody about what you're focused on. And Jonas says, oops. And I says, at least tell both your friends. That was a funny one. When we were growing up, we used to make flyers for our bands, our friends' band playing in the yard and, at parties. And we would put on the bottom of the flyer all the time, tell both your friends. It was hilarious. Because if you think about it, you pretty much have both your friends, right? I said, that's funny. It means both my authentic self and illusionary self. No, he said, because I said, tell both your friends. And he says, that's funny. It means both my authentic self and my illusionary self, right? And I said, either one, both, or all three, LOL. And then Ren 7E came in on Thinking Fourth Dimensionally, lesson 3 of the 5 lessons. That was the lectures that I read out of the book, not the lives last week. Something that I've always thought strange. Neville says they were very poor, yet he said in one of his books that they had a full complement of servants and a cook. All the large families I know have the children doing all the chores, so why would they even need servants? Just an observation on my part and something that I've always wondered about. It's a great question, and I heard that exact thing, and it did make me wonder too, so I responded, yeah, I've heard that too. When the Goddards were busy with their business, they likely brought in extra help. Now, I've been self-employed. I ran my own business for 13 years, a construction company. And so when the tide is high and all the boats are afloat, means, let's say the Goddard and sons are busy working, or some are off to college. You got to remember, some are off to college. I forget the name of the oldest brother. It starts with a C. I can't remember it right now. So you have him, you got Victor. Victor's the one that worked with Neville Goddard's dad, Joseph. So there's 2 older brothers of Victor. Then there's Neville, I believe. There's 3 older brothers of Neville. Then there's several brothers behind. But I think some people are out of the house. Either way, my point is when business was floating the boat and the tide is high, and I imagine that help, like we all do, because I says on the island, like today, we all can hire somebody to help clean our house when you get in a pinch, or if you have somebody doing it regularly for you, or you're running your own business. My sister runs her own business. She has somebody comes over and cleans her house, and I often hire her, the same gal. She's a friend of ours. I bring her in once in a blue moon to come and help over here when we're going to have a party and things like this. And you bring in extra help so you know the concept. But in the islands at this time, I am imagining there was plenty help for extremely cheap. That was my guess, because you're talking about Barbados. You're talking about a large population. You're talking about a big gap between those who were, and I hate to say it this way, but I think it's the way it was working. Those who were in the white class versus those who were in the dark class, because that was, you always hired for your help the people of the lesser class. And I think that's exactly what existed on the island at that time. A plenty abundant amount of people to do the kind of work, unfortunately. So I think I responded, I think even families of modest means could afford it on the islands at that time. Neville still described their beginnings as very poor, with 10 kids, 2 parents, and a grandparent in the house. That was a lot of mouths to feed. I grew up myself in a house of 9 people. There were 7 of us kids. For me, 4 sisters and 2 brothers. So I don't even know how we pulled it off. We didn't have servants, but we were living right here in Long Beach. There wasn't another class of people down here economically, and I don't mean nationality, I mean economically. Class economics on the island was way separated. So that was my point. And no, we didn't hire people. Yeah, it's fascinating. It's a very fascinating point because I remember hearing that specific note in the lecture, in that same lecture. All right, let's see another comment. Sibusiso Mapangela. I know I'm messing up your name. Sibusisu Mapangela. Map Angela. Is it really that simple to have everything that I want? And yes, the answer is after you get the skill set understood up here, you become aware of it. Remember, to give you kind of a broader answer, which is a great question. We start off in life innocent. Not just in one life, but in several lives, we can be considered innocent because we're not aware. We're not aware of God or all that is, or we're not aware that we are part of something magical, that He made us in His image. All of this is not really known. So you go through life innocent and you're just doing, making mistakes and trying to learn and better and become. The next level from innocence is experienced. And once you become experienced, you become to learn. You get to a place in life where you learn things like this, that you create your life with your imagination. That's when you start to get the experience of knowing this. And then when you don't use the knowledge and you try to revert back to innocent, you can't, because now you have the knowledge. So when you come into this, it's a heavy burden of responsibility. Because your question, it's a beautiful question, because is it really simple to have everything that I want means the only answer is yes, but it's not simple to learn and practice. It is simple, bottom line, very simple. But you have to go from what you were doing already in the innocent level to the experience level where you know how to do this. You learn all the little tricks and the techniques, and you learn SAT, state akin to sleep. You learn about imagining lovingly. You learn about revision. You learn all these little things. There's only 3 or 4 or 5 things to learn, but you have to put them in practice. Then you become, from experience, you go into awakened imagination. So these are the 3 levels to answer your question. Yes, it is simple, but you do have a little learning to do. It looks easy. If I had a guitar in here, I could play you some stuff, and it looks easy. But it took a lot of years to get all those little holding of the positions down and strumming and all that stuff. And I just finished being in a band for 8 years where I was playing a guitar. And it was a lot of hours of practice still just to maintain knowing 100 songs. And I think I knew when I stopped playing a year ago or more, I think a year and a half ago, I had about 200 songs. Tina Turner tribute band, a Rolling Stones tribute band, and a cover band. It was at least 200 songs, and you have to be constantly practicing. So when you're watching us on stage in either one of those bands, it looks simple. It's fun. Creating your reality, Sibu Siso, it looks easy when you're observing somebody else on a Neville channel on YouTube or somebody who's manifesting, and you watch. All you have to do is watch them for a little while. You watch the background in these people's lives upgrade. They go from a tiny apartment to a bigger apartment, to then a house, to a bigger house. Just watch them. Just keep an eye on all the Neville people that are on YouTube. You'll see the upgrades. It happens because something that was difficult to grasp at first becomes something you practice. You use these techniques, and they start to gain a momentum. You go into the innocence to the experience. After you start using the techniques, you start upgrading all these things in your life. Your first upgrades are getting your parking space. You're getting your boyfriend, girlfriend. You're getting your bank account in order. You're getting all these things, and this momentum builds, and then you realize it's coming from here. It's not coming at you, it's coming from you. So it's a really, really good question. Hopefully that I answered it in as long-winded a way as possible. Master the art of manifestation in just 6 months. That's a short. It's right there, right with your question. Jonas Chris responded, the most important thing for me to manifest is for the kingdom of God to come alive in my heart. I know this is a metaphor. I feel like that means where my soul and spirit is so abundant with peace and joy that I will be able to spread it to others. I like this noble approach. But maybe what I just described is instead the results of the kingdom of God coming alive in my heart. Sounds like it to me. What does Neville Goddard define that the kingdom of God is specifically, or is this entire process, or is this entire process what that is? And I responded, Neville defined the kingdom of God as your own wonderful human imagination. That's what Neville describes the kingdom of God's right there. When he said, seek first the kingdom, he was pointing us back to consciousness itself, because everything flows from the state you occupy. The peace and joy you describe are the natural fruits of living from that kingdom. The kingdom's here. Entering it is not about waiting for an outer event. It is about claiming your inner state now in here, and then let the world reflect it back to you. We have to claim the noble dream, the inner state right now. Stake the claim. I am that I am. Everything's typically 5. You create your own reality. I am that I am. Everything is you pushed out. I just realized that. You stake the claim. I am that I am. That is what you're putting in place. Wealthy, healthy, in love, married, I am free, I am, whatever you want to put there, you can put there. You stake the claim by staking it right there, then you become it on an inner level. And you do your best to ignore the 5 senses. The 5 senses are leading you in the wrong direction. They're distracting you constantly. And if you're one that gets hooked on social media like TikTok and Instagram and Facebook reels and reels of any kind and the news and anything YouTube throws at you, then it's going to be more difficult to get that ability to focus in here, because you're so out here focused. You're so out here focused. That's why meditation, going in your closet and shutting the door, this is very important. So you got to just close off the distractions. I am, some deep breaths, going into the silence. Withdraw from what the senses are showing you, and then stake your claim in here. As you do that, it builds it, because that's where reality is, on the inside in the 4th dimension. That's reality. This on the outside is a reflection of this reality. So you have to go in, shut off the senses, build it up, build up that new you, build it up. Now, at first, when you would draw from your senses, that was a habit. You're looking out here is a habit. So you have to create a new habit of shutting these off. Shut these. Take some deep breaths. Sit on your couch. Sit in a chair. Whatever you're doing. Lay down, but not go to sleep. And start creating this new you. Meditation's a big part of this. It's a fancy word, meditation, but it doesn't mean anything difficult. It's just shut these. Breathe a little bit. Calm it down a little bit. And you're on your way. You're already there, really. Jason Chandler, Neville description of the kingdom of heaven is the divine body of harmony that we're all individual members of. I have to agree completely. We're all. It's really, when you look at it, also, he made us in his image, so all of us are him. That's why you can never look at somebody as an enemy at all. Like road rage or anger, it doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense. We're all brothers and sisters, literally. Good comment, Jason. I appreciate that very much. Mapangela, that's your last name is the easier one for me to pronounce. Wow, how can I easily maintain my frequency? Well, that's practice. It really is practice, like I just described. Just close your eyes. Do it again. You feel like you're falling back into the illusion or to the distractions, do it again. But now your additional comment with your eyes open, it's like a daydream. When I was in grade school, I would daydream in the class, looking out the window. My eyes were open. I was in a daydream. Neville says that a daydream is different from a night dream because in a night dream, you're not really in control. But in a daydream, you are in control. You can control the flow of your daydream, unlike a night dream. So you want to consider that the idea, excuse me, I get up very early. You want to consider that, what is it now, my time, 11:30 a.m. So you want to consider that idea is that when you go into a daydream, your eyes are open. You have control of where the dream's going next. It's the same way I imagine lovingly for people when I get off the freeway and they're holding a sign that says anything will help me. I appreciate it. And then I go into a daydream with these open most of the time, but I can sense the entire vision, including the hugging. I can hear him talking. I high five, the good news, the smile, everything is in a daydream with these open all the time. A friend's talking to me and I'm imagining lovingly for him while he's talking to me. Literally, I'm in a daydream. My eyes are open looking right at him. If you haven't tried I love you and thank you while someone's talking to you, you'll be mighty impressed when you look at them and watch their conversation change. If someone's complaining or they're just talking about their life and they're a friend of yours and they're just talking and you're listening, just start repeating in your mind while looking at them in the eyes, I love you, thank you. I love you, thank you. Love and gratitude. Isn't it wonderful? Isn't it wonderful that you can even do that? But you'll see a reaction. You'll see a response. You'll see them change right in front of you. Just try it once. You'll be blown away. You can try it with animals too. I've seen dogs do completely submissive things when I've done that. It's like Mr. Doolittle over here, you know, you're just talking to the animals. It really works. I'm not joking at all. It's fascinating. In Wednesday of last week's live, Neville Goddard 3 of 5, Think Fourth Dimensionally, Jordan Flesher Official wrote, Seth and Neville are great to connect together and to integrate. And I said, I totally agree. Two of the best teachers to ever grace us. Just imagine if Jane would have allowed Seth to dictate the Christ book. He offered and she flat out turned it down. Now, if you haven't studied Neville, there was a point in the material, Seth offered Jane Roberts the Christ book if she wanted it. He dictated 8 books. As if you're not aware yet, Seth is the author that spoke through the channeler, the channeled entity, the personality, non-physical experience or person that's non-physical but yet channeled through Jane, offered her the book called the Christ book, and she turned it down because she had a very opposite attitude about Scripture and Christ. She grew up a Roman Catholic, a very, very strict mother who was Roman Catholic. Jane held it against her, I believe, and resented anything to do with religion. So in all the work she did, it was a very non-scriptural approach. But in a lot of Seth's work, you'll see he's very sly, very good teacher. You'll see he said certain things without using the terms in Scripture, but he landed at the same place. When you're reading it and understanding it, it's the same place you land at with Neville. And that's why I combine them. I've got 25 years of studying Seth with my teacher and teaching it together with her. We taught it at Learning Life Foundation, taught it in my house, meetup groups for years. Fun stuff. But Neville, the difference to me, Neville brings it into more of the now. Seth teaches you that there is only now, but Neville teaches you how to practice it, like with revision or just simply your imagination. And don't get me wrong, Seth is a great teacher. I created a business with my understandings of the Seth material, ran that business for 13 years. I believe my marriage is based on the ideas I learned in the Seth material. I believe all the wonderful travel we've done is based on those ideas. But when you get to Neville, it's like you were cooking things in the oven nice and slow, but it's like you get to Neville and it's like the fast burners on top of the stove are now being used quicker. You get things quicker. Parking space 3 blocks away. Oh, I can see the car from inside the restaurant. I get there and the space is open. Quicker. In my opinion, the Neville material, I can't say one's better than the other. They're both profound in their own right, wonderful teachings. Jordan Flesher, is saying Seth and Neville are great to connect together. It is a really good comment, and it's true. They are really heck of a thing to understand. Master the art of manifestation in just 6 months. The short. Jonas Chris 050 wrote gratitude. I said, you're welcome. There's some gratitude, love, and gratitude. I responded, you're welcome, with a love and a smile. Let's see. Denying the Evidence, A Journey Within. That short, great title, Denying the Evidence. Deny the five senses. A Journey Within. We were just talking about that. Now, I don't play these shorts before we start, and I make several shorts a day, sometimes 6, sometimes 11, sometimes 20, sometimes 30 a day. So I don't have them all memorized, but I know by the title, that one is really a good title. At 609 writes, I literally need convince myself only. He wrote, only myself. Brilliant. And I responded, absolutely, it's all you. Never meant more. Smile and love and thank you. I wrote, unlock your power, assume your reality. At 609 wrote, I learned about the Sabbath. Thank you. And I said, you're most welcome. It is done. That's the Sabbath, when you know it is done. 3 of 5 last week on Think Fourth Dimensionally. That was that live we did last week. We did one Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Great lives. I just basically broke down the 5 lessons. Prasoon commented today that he ordered the book, 5 Lessons. It's a great book because it's focused on the law. It's from 1948 when Neville breaks down the law. The lectures are on the channel. You just got to look up 5 Lessons, spell out F-I-V-E, and you'll find those in videos on this channel of Neville's book that I read. But then you'll also, last week we did the lives based on those 5 lessons. Frank32 writes on Wednesday's subject, hi Gilbert, I'm new to the channel. You keep mentioning sats. Can you give me a quick definition? And then he came back, or anyone else here for that matter. Many thanks. Love is first. Disregard. I just saw state akin to sleep. How could I have missed that? Thank you. Well, I'm glad he answered his question. Frank, thanks for hanging in there. And you definitely came across it. And I said, yes, that's it. Today's live goes into it wonderfully. And I take it for granted that we might not know the terms, all of us. Some of us are just walking in for the first time. So I'll try and define them as much as I can. Especially sats. Sats, when I first heard them, I'm like, what the heck is that? But it's state akin to sleep. Just feeling drowsy, feeling sleepy, laying down, but not going to sleep. You're close to it, but you're not going to sleep. Ren 7E came in on the same lecture, 3 of 5 last week. Gilbert, I missed the live, but my question is, what started you on this spiritual journey? Was it a spiritual experience or awakening? And I said, my story is going to take several videos, which it is. I'm going to make them soon. But suffice it to say, my beginnings haven't been easy, and turning to and finding my teacher was my salvation. It was confusing and without understanding before I found Sylvia and her bookstore called the Cosmic Lantern, right there in Long Beach. But since then, 1991, that was August 1991. I moved in January of 1991 to the building next to her bookstore. If you go to 768 Redondo Avenue, Long Beach, California, 90804 on the map, you'll see that building, 768. It's a Spanish building, Spanish tile on the top. The building next to it, north of it, is an apartment building, same era, 20s, I'm going to guess. And it's got the Spanish tile on top also. And when I moved in there, I moved in the front apartment, which you'll see from the map. You'll see the front door of the unit on the bottom is number 2. That's where I moved in, and I discovered her bookstore there because I would go skateboarding every day right by to the beach. The beach is 7 blocks or whatever it is, 7th Street, then you get to the beach on Ocean. So I'd ride my skateboard there, then I'd take off down Ocean, just exercise on my skateboard. I always passed her shop. I went in there one day and said, what is this place? It's a bookstore. She said it was a metaphysical bookstore. I said, well, what do you do? And she said she did readings. She taught classes. I go, well, I'll sign up for one. She said, okay, it's $60. At the time, my rent was $200 in this apartment in the front, 1991. Before Long Beach exploded, rent was cheap everywhere. Now, times it by 10 and a half or 1.5. Times it by 10 and then add 50%, at least for apartments. I tell you, or times it by 10 for apartments. Singles. Times have changed. But I discovered her. She did my numbers, told me a bunch of amazing things. And then I was like, wow, sign me up. I got to take the class. I got to know more. And it just snowballed from there, and all of this learning. And I've been keeping at it ever since. And it's been a fun time. I did bring it up in the next live on the next day, which is 4 or 5, which I told her in signing off on that message and said, thank you. Hope to see you there. And then she made another comment. I tried that technique of holding an object while falling asleep. I chose my earbuds case. I fell asleep but woke up still holding it. So maybe it was too light or too small. I'll try something heavier. I said, that's too funny. Yeah, it's something heavier. So if you're going to fall asleep, I mean, you could use your phone. It's heavy enough. So I'll do that like with the phone sometimes, because I'll be like, I gotta get this last little bit in. And then I'll fall asleep, and then it'll fall right on my hand. It'll wake me right up. So the point she's coming at, Ren 70, I believe it's a she, of course. If you're in SATs and you have your dream and you're replaying the scene over and over, but you fall asleep and you never know how far you get because you drift, if you hold something in your hand, it doesn't matter what, something not that's going to hurt you if it lands on your face, but like a tennis ball or some kind of ball, rubber ball, something a little bit more substantial than those earbuds. Those earbuds might weigh like this little charger thing here. This is too small. You can't tell when this falls, but something that shakes your bed or your pillow, and you've drifted too far because you're in SATs and you're trying to bring it back to the beginning of your scene. Remember, Neville said he goes up the ladder to get from Barbados back to New York. He had to imagine himself going up that ladder on the boat and then being on the boat looking back. He said he would start walking up that ladder. He took a tender out to a dock that then the boat was able to walk up this ladder, this stairway onto the boat. But he'd be up halfway up it, then he would drift and he'd fall, and he'd go back to the beginning, start walking again. If that's your scene, going up a ladder, you drift in the middle of it and you wake up and you drop your thing, you wake up, and then you go back to the beginning, start again. And then if you do it successfully, you get all the way to the top and you're looking back, go back to the bottom, do it again. So you're taking your 30-second reel that you have, your noble dreaming, the new experience. You want to move somewhere, you want to be with somebody, you want to have a certain bank account, whatever it is, walking out of the doctor's office, whatever your scene is, you create that reel and then you repeat it. You get to the end of the scene and you go back to the beginning. That's what the commenter a few comments ago was talking about. She didn't realize to replay it. And she left some beautiful comments in here, a couple in a row. Infinite traveling spirit. She left several, and that was one thing first comment we read. And it literally is true. You have to replay the scene. Get it to the point where it feels natural, where you feel, oh, this is so comfortable. It feels like it's a memory now. That's when you're traveling into it as being natural. It feels like a memory, like you already did it. Queen comes in. Have you read any of Frederick Dodson's books? No, I have not heard of him, Queen. I'll have to look him up, but I have not read him yet. I'm open to reading anything new because reading is great. Reading is fundamental. Shielded by Grace 2284, Thinking Fourth Dimensionally, lesson 3 of 5 lessons. She's commenting on the actual one where I read the lesson out of the book. She says, OMG, this is eye-opening. And I says, I hear you. If you're still around, I'll be covering this session live in 30 minutes. Check it out if you can. And that was advertising for the live we did last Wednesday to cover the same subject. The next short, Denying the Evidence, A Journey Within. Kenneth AUTIO-B2F writes, I no longer ask others, and I put a heart to that. Yes, and I think in there we talk about that. Unlock your inner power, assume the feeling of your desires. That's a short. I had a response from Treeline1111 who wrote, dude, what? And then I wrote, dude, what? With a smile, thank you, and a love, a heart. And then he came back with, LMAO and a heart. So that was a funny one. The next short, Master Your Mind, the Key to Co-Creation. 2 things, Jonas Chris 050. 1, I have only been listening to you in the format of shorts, so I'm not quite clear what this is. When you say this is the most important thing in this short, I can't quite figure it out from that context. And I was referring to answer one at a time, he has 2 things here. I was referring to learning the art of what we're studying together here, how to master creating our own reality by getting our thoughts and our feelings in control. Simply put, we get control of our thoughts, get control of our feelings, and then when we fall to sleep, we have control of where our thoughts go. We have control of how we feel about those thoughts. We put them into an organization of what we want to experience, a dream image. In Neville's case, he was going up the ladder to get on the boat to then go back to New York. That was control of his thoughts, the scene, and then how he felt when he was at the top. Thought and feeling together. That's the this when I'm talking about this is the most important thing, period. Is to get this under wraps, get this under your control, get this understood. And it's the same answer to you of earlier, that question, is this really that simple? Map Angela, I'm saying your last name. And is it really that simple to have everything that I want? Yes, but still it's some effort. The song sounds great when you play it on the guitar, but it took you a minute to learn the guitar chords. And the whole thing, the whole progression, all of these things take time. It can take a short time or a long time, depends on you. High faith, low time. If your faith is high and you want to conquer this and do it, you will do it fast. If you're as intense as, what was her name? Louise Burleigh, I think her name is. Very intense lady, Neville says, and she became wealthy beyond imagination. If you look at the cover of that book, that pink book, I took it back in my house. She's got diamonds all over, diamond earrings, diamond necklace. I mean, Neville said she could open up a Tiffany's. She had so much jewelry, so many millions. It's available. High faith, low time. So I didn't mean to I don't want to lead you to the idea that it takes a long time to do this. It doesn't. It's just a lot of faith. Faith doesn't exist in time. So it's a little tricky. I'm throwing a curveball at you. The other thing Jonas Chris says, number 2, I have been struggling with marijuana addiction, and you told me 2 months ago to observe the pattern of my addiction, and that has worked. I really appreciate your insight. You're welcome again. There is help me get some space between me and the marijuana. I know now that the mental state I require for daily upkeep is often not available when you have a hazy and dull mind. I responded, I appreciate you sharing that. By this, I meant the practice of deliberately watching and guiding your inner conversations and imaginal activity, because that is the key to consciously creating your life. I'm really glad to hear the shift you have made. Observing the pattern is the first step to freedom. Keep tending your inner garden and it will only get clearer and stronger for sure. And then I put a heart and a smile and a thank you. And I said, P.S., another exercise that will help you clear up the haze. And I really believe this because it worked for me and my brother and other people I've told and they've done it. Another exercise that will help you clear up the haze is to read every day for 15 minutes only. Right when you wake up, it will help many things at once. I've seen it work complete miracles. It's very, very true. Right when you wake up, get any book, maybe even Frederick Dodson's books, Queen, and just 15 minutes. And I think it was I think it was Brian Tracy who said if you read 15 minutes every day in the subject of the field of what you want to do as a profession or your career, he said you'll be an expert in like 9 months and you'll be a leader in the field within, I think it was a year. You'll be like in the top very low percentage, like 1% of people in that whole field. Let's say for fun, you were reading all the Seth books. You wanted to read those. You get Seth Speaks, the first book, Nature, Personal Reality. Start one at a time, of course, just for the fun of conversation here. You open up the book, set the timer for 15 minutes on your phone. right when you wake up, whatever your process is. I drink a lot of water first thing in the morning. So I have my water going, open the book, start reading. That timer goes off. If I want to continue, great. I'll continue a little bit, but I'll shut the timer off, close the book. It's not important that you get deep in that book at that moment. The important thing is you start and you stop at that 15-minute mark, because what you're doing is you're starting to expand your comprehension. The hazy mind comes from all of these short attention span things in our busy, busy world. The number of things we get hit with every day in advertising alone is off the charts. Nothing like when I grew up. When I grew up, there was a few billboards on the freeway. There was commercials very often on the TV. And that's where you got it. Today, you're carrying the commercial device in your hand. You can't even look at an email without advertisements, basically. Much less if you go to social media, bombard. And then if you go to YouTube to watch this video, just the sidelines, all that stuff, or between, or now I know they're showing ads. So you have to find a way to deal with making it calm in here. That 15 minutes. Now, if you're going to meditate, great. Meditate in the morning first. If you've created that habit already, that's first, because that's close to sleep. Then get your 15 minutes in of reading. The reading is going to help you comprehend better. It's going to help you become an expert in whatever you're reading about. You could read the Neville books and go through those, even if you're listening to lectures on your devices. Get the reading time in. It's very, very important. We learn one of three ways. We learn auditorially, which that's my big one. I have my headphones. They're probably on my head 24 hours a day. So, some of us learn auditorially. Some of us learn by kinesthetic. So you have a book in your hand. That's kinesthetic. You're touching the book. One of your five senses. I'm using these ones most of the time. There's this one, but this one ties in also this one. So you have two senses happening. To hold a book is kinesthetic, truly, but you're also learning visually. So you learn these three ways: auditorially, visually, or kinesthetic. How you feel, you're touching. Touching is directly related to how you feel. So those are the three modalities of learning. So we're trying to put those together. The reading of 15 minutes will take you very far. It'll solve a lot of riddles at once. Next one, Neville Goddard, 2 of 5, last Tuesday. Change your past, revision, change your past now. Frank32 came in and said, I'm familiar with Neville and some other teachers. Can you tell me who Seth is? Haven't heard of that teacher. I think I said it yesterday, but I said, good question. Seth is a teacher. If anybody's not familiar, that Jane Roberts and Robert Butts, channeled Seth. He was a teacher that channeled through Jane. Robert Butts, her husband, wrote down verbatim what he said. Those became sessions. It became a conversation with the Ouija board after she had an out of body. Then they got a Ouija board and were studying ESP because this experience she had, this first spontaneous out of body, blew her mind. Ouija board, then they're talking. Then she started to imagine what the Ouija board was going to say. Then they started talking to somebody and they said, who are you? What's your name? He said, you can call me Seth. Before you know it, she could drop what's that called? The plank, whatever that little device is called. They put that aside, put the board aside, and now she could hear him talking through her. Then they wrote down several books. The whole body of work is about 50 books. The 8 books known as the Seth material books are dictated by Seth, meant for us, the readers. You read them in order, you will learn. It'll just like learning from Neville. Your dreams will change. You'll have unfoldments in here. It will change your world for the better, in my opinion. Somebody commented recently that their life was falling apart since they started studying Neville. And Neville said many times he's not surprised when someone comes up and said, hey, I was fired. Well, you have to get fired for someone else to bring wealth into your life because you were focused on wealth. And you don't realize when things break down to get you the bridge of incident. Often that happens. Relationships, money, jobs. Queen came back with another reply. I tried to teach my friends this knowledge, but they looked at me like I'm crazy. Why? I tell you, my teacher told me about 1,001 times, don't throw your pearls of wisdom before swine. And I used to look at her like, what the heck is that supposed to mean? What are you talking about? And we are in 3 levels. You're coming into the level, it sounds like, Queen, where you're experienced now with the Neville ideas and understanding, and it would make your heart full of joy to share with somebody. It's only natural. This is like, wow, this is a beautiful thing. I want to share this. This is amazing. So you're going from an innocent, not knowing about this, to experienced. In this phase of experience, you're not yet into awakened imagination, but you're getting there. But this is mind-bogglingly wonderful stuff. Create your own reality, create wealth, create a partner, a relationship, a marriage. Wow. And you automatically want to share that. When I learned metaphysics from my teacher in 1991, numerology was the very fastest one. Of course, I learned and taught tarot. I learned and taught palmistry. I learned and taught numerology. Astrology was always part of it. I did it for anybody standing within 100 feet every single day. Hundreds, thousands of people I did this for. I just had to know it was working right. So then I would immediately preach what I was reading and how to make them better. The larger percentage would look at me like I'm crazy. The women, always right there wanting to hear. The guys, they wanted me to get away from them because I'm revealing too much, in my opinion. But the women were always right on it because they were like, yes, this makes sense. But guys never. They never responded positively. Very rare percentage, very low percentage. The women always on it. In sharing, though, you want to go with your new experiences with the You Create Your Own Reality. You want to help share that and awaken all of our imaginations. We can grow together. It makes the world a better place. But in the beginning, you only have to be an example of this, not a preacher of it. You have no, and this is, I'm telling you this from Seth, and Neville did say it in very small places, but Seth said it a lot more. Your responsibility is not to preach it, it's to be it. When people see you being it, they'll come and ask you questions. They'll say, how is it that you are? Why do you look so good? Why do you have so much? How did you all of a sudden get in a relationship? How is it that you now have this amazing house? All your upgrades will prove your practice of it. So you have to go from experience to awakened imagination and using it and being an example of it. That's the goal. Let them come to you and ask you, how are you doing this? Then you can pour it out. That's the best approach, I promise you. Take it from me, because I tried the other way for many decades. I still do it. Don't get me wrong, because that's just what I'm designed. That's the way I'm built. Tanya Flowers, loving the lives. Thank you very much, Tanya. Great info on the hazy mind. Please focus on this more. It's pervasive. Yes, it is. We need calming techniques, time management, daily activities to grow the mind. Thank you. I am actually working on creating some meditation videos with binaural beats. And we've got so many balls in the air right now, but it is coming. And those will be from me focused on these ideas on how to just go in that closet, shut the door, shut it down, calm it down, chill it out, take some deep breaths. These will be the meditation style that I'm going to be putting forth with binaural beats, where there's a frequency difference in the ears, takes you into delta, or these other states where you're just able to learn or meditate easier. So yes, Tanya, thank you for that request. That those are coming for sure. And the lives are great. I like the spontaneity of it because the responses are different. Where I'm sitting is going to be spontaneously different. And then obviously it's the biggest impact. I could just do the lecture, but it's one-sided. It's one-dimensional, basically, because you're having to listen and think on your own. But when you can interact, it makes it even better. And in the course that I put up on my website, basically I do that. That is a process that we go through together, and then we do group coaching in that as well. I haven't talked about that a whole lot because I'm still developing some other pieces on the back end, but there'll be a lot more talk about that soon. But the coaching aspect, what we're doing now, is a large piece of it. We have to have the interaction to be able to work it, like I did with my teacher for decades. It's just part of learning and applying, part of going from experience to awakened imagination. We're innocent. We're not responsible. We don't get the same furnaces of affliction. We don't get the burn. But when we learn about this, that our imagination does create our reality and we don't do it, it's a deeper lesson. You might learn from the furnaces harder here. Then we go to awakened imagination where we don't have the furnaces anymore. We're constantly in joy. We're constantly in this level of peace and understanding and love for your neighbor. It's a whole different level. I mean, as I said yesterday in my live yesterday, I was walking in the supermarket and this mom and daughter were pushing on the cart. The mom's got a hold of the buggy, and the daughter's standing with her feet on the bottom, right in front of her, lower than her mom, like this high, up her head's that, pushing along. And I'm just like, look at this beautiful mother and daughter. Beautiful. You could just tell that the love between them existed so wonderfully. It was a beautiful sight. I love it. It just struck me. I was like, wow, just it's really cool. So you get to this awakened imagination state position, and you might intermittently go back and forth, but you just start to, you become in awe. It's love in the basic terms. It's just love. Tanya, again, love that. Binaural beats. I'm here for it. Yes, it's coming. I appreciate that. And we are coming up on the hour, and I do have some errands to run, so I'm going to have to leave you at this, but we're going to do another one tomorrow. I'm thinking the same time. If you guys want to do the same time, if you think this works, I can do 8 a.m., 7 a.m., 7, 8 a.m., 9 a.m., 10, 11. I don't want to go later in the afternoon because I noticed that on my analytics, 11 o'clock is when every day of the week it looks like most viewers of the channel are actually available. So whatever time you think is best, if 11 works, great. If 10 or a different time, 7 to 11, because 11 will go to 12. So 7 to 11, if anytime you prefer, throw it in there, respond, please, it helps. And I'll probably put up a poll to help with that, because I like these lives. I think that they're going to have a huge impact. I think that will help carry us quite a distance. But otherwise, other than that, I hope you have a wonderful day, and we will see you in the next live tomorrow. Have a good one.